All right, what is good, you guys? Welcome to last week's trade recap. We are going to be covering 9.15 all the way to 9.19. I had a pretty decent week last week. I think it was like 2 break-evens, 1 loss, and 2 wins, something like that. I only took like 3 or 4 trades. We'll go over everything in a second. So yeah, with that being said, let's just jump right into Monday. Starting off with Monday, we had no news. We just had orange folder at 8:30, so it didn't really mean much to me. Okay, so this was the trade I took. It was a break even on a Monday. I wasn't even looking to trade, but we'll go over it in a second, right? So we are in a clear bullish structure, right? We have, give me 1 second. Market opens somewhere in this general vicinity right here, right? We have an unfilled 1 hour for value gap right here. We also have another one right here, and then we have London lows below just in case we did flip bias. But again, I was overall just bullish on the day. So what I wanted to see at market open is I wanted to see some sort of like manipulation lower, right? We open right here. I wanted to see some sort of manipulation and then look for an inversion in this leg coming out of these for value gaps to catch longs. However, we ended up just ripping higher and higher, and when we did so, there was a continuation, or not a continuation, but I guess an inversion entry that we could have targeted. So there was this unfilled 5-minute for value gap, and as you guys can see, ES was moving pretty retarded, right? So ES actually ended up coming out and taking out these market open lows, and as you guys can see, Nasdaq did not, right? So we just continue to push higher and higher, and when we did so, we actually created a SMT. And then on this leg down right here, I believe it was, there was a 1 minute for value gap that we could have took. And again, there was nothing to the left of us. So this is what our trade idea would have looked like. Let me go, give me 1 second. Entered off this 1 minute version, stops at the SMT low. And then we could have just targeted a 1-to-1 RR since there was nothing to the left of us because we're at all-time highs. And this could have been our break-even point right here. So the confluence of this trade would literally be just bull structure, SMT at market open, 1 minute inversion, because ES was rejecting a 5-minute fair value gap as well. As you guys can see, here's our SMT. Price came down, swept out the market open low. The only reason why I didn't like this was because we had a unfilled 5-minute fair value gap at our stop loss. So as you guys can see, our stop loss is at this low right here, and then there is a unfilled 5-minute right here. So what I was looking for in this specific scenario was price to come down, respect this 5-minute, and then again I would look for an entry out of it. However, that just did not end up happening, so I stayed hands off. Like I said, I wasn't even looking to trade. It was a no news Monday. So yeah, that was a trade I did not take. However, it did end up working out. I don't think I would. The scenario has to be very, very like distinct for me to take something like that because I just don't like unfilled gaps at my stop loss. But anyways, we ended up continuing higher and higher, creating a 15-minute here, right? So all this 1 hour means nothing. This 1 hour means nothing. These London lows mean nothing. What do we end up doing? Well, we ended up creating a 15-minute, two 15 minutes, and then we also got a 5-minute for value gap right here as well. So let's see what price does. 10 a.m. opened right here, right? So we had a 10 a.m. open at this black line. So what are we doing? We opened low. And what do we open low into? Well, we opened low into a 5-minute for value gap right here and a 15-minute for value gap right here. And what else did we do? Well, we ended up continuing to trend lower, creating all this trend line liquidity, all this low resistance liquidity. Okay, we got a 10 a.m. open low. We just tapped into a 15-minute and 5-minute for value gap. We have an internal SMT. Here is ES, right? ES did not sweep out these 10-14 lows. And as you guys can see, Nasdaq did take out these 10-14 lows. Okay, so we had a 1 minute inversion right here. I went ahead and entered off the 1 minute inversion. My break-even point was this low resistance liquidity right here. And then my final take profit, or my one and only take profit, was all-time highs, which was just created. Okay, so since we got a 10 a.m. open low and we tapped into a 15-minute and a 5-minute fair value gap, it was just a simple continuation model out. We got a 1 minute inversion. I entered off the inversion. I got chopped around a little bit. This wick was absolutely crazy. I think my entire Discord said whoa at the exact same time. It was only 22 points, but at this specific time, these candles weren't, there was really not much volatility in the market. Got chopped around a little bit, and then I hit my break-even point. I then moved stops to break even, and then it was a W break-even point because price ended up, I believe, reversing on the day. I don't No, what? Oh no, I ended up hitting my break even and going straight to my take profit. But I wasn't mad about it. Like I said, it was a no news Monday. I wasn't looking to trade anyway. So it was what it was. There was really nothing else that presented itself throughout the day. As you guys can see, market just opened, ripped, and then kind of like just consolidated. It wasn't the best of trades on my end either. However, I did think we were going just to continue to rip up since we were at all-time highs, and typically that's how all-time highs is. So that was all for Monday. With that being said, let's jump on over to Tuesday. So Tuesday was a super quick day. I actually took a trade pre-market right before market opens, which is kind of unlikely. I never really do that because I don't like the wicks at market open. They're fucking crazy. But let's go over why I took the trade. There wasn't really much to cover on Tuesday anyway. Not many people traded Tuesday just because the fucking price action wasn't the best. So coming into the morning, I was pretty neutral. Why? Well, because we had this 1 hour for value gap right here, and then we had a unfilled 4 hour right here as well. We had a unfilled hourly bullish right here as well, and then we also had data lows, and then London lows where this unfilled hourly is, or 4 hour, sorry. So this red line represents London lows and an unfilled 4 hour for value gap. So I was like, okay, we can play both sides. If fucking market opens and we manipulate into this 1 hour for value gap, then I can potentially look for shorts down to these data lows, London lows, and unfilled 4 hour for value gap. And then if we open and we come lower first, taking out data lows, tapping into the bullish 4 hour and bullish 1 hour down here, then we could potentially look for longs from here. However, the reason I took a pre-market trade, or not pre-market, but pre-market open trade, is because of this reason right here. So we ended up coming and tapping this 1 hour for value gap. As you guys can see, here is the fair value gap, right? We then, here's a tap, right? This first black line is. We then created a 15-minute SMT. So these 15-minute highs right here at 8:30 ended up getting swept out. We did have, sorry, I forgot to show you guys the news. We did have news on Tuesday. Give me 1 second. So we had retail sales red folder at 8:30. Okay, so here we go. Where's 8:30? Jesus Christ, where the fuck is 8:30? Oh, right here. Okay, here's the candle, right? So data highs got swept out mad, and then we left data lows. Okay, so we ended up creating a 15-minute SMT. As you guys can see, this 8:30 high ended up getting swept out by 9 o'clock, and this 8:30 high never ended up getting swept out. Here it is right here. And then we also had a 5-minute SMT as well. So we had this 905 high get swept out, okay, as you guys can see on ES. And then this 905 high on NASDAQ did not get swept out. So we have a double SMT scenario rejecting a 1 hour fair value gap with clear targets below, okay? So what was my entry model, you may ask? It was pretty nice. We had this 1 minute fair value gap right here that ended up getting inverted. And with the same Drake candle that came down, we ended up inverting this 1 minute as well. Oh, never mind. That 1 minute already got took out by that. So we ended up getting a Drakester down to the downside. I then set a limit order at the inversion, and I got tapped in fucking beautifully. Okay, price came up, tapped me into the order. My stops were at the SMT highs for a 5-point stop loss. I went in for 3 minis, so I was risking, what is 5.75 times 60? 5.75 times 60. So I was risking $345. And then what was my take profit? My take profit was 22.25 times 3, or sorry, times 60, to make $1,335. Okay. So on my top step, I actually ended up pulling early, and then on my evals that I was trying to pass, I ended up full closing, and I'll explain why in a second. So like I said, rejecting the 1 hour for value gap, double SMT. We have a 15-minute SMT with these highs right here, and then NASDAQ did not come and sweep out the 905 highs, and ES did. So double SMT, 1 minute inversion, limit order at the inversion. What do we know about inversion for value gaps? I would say 7-8 times out of 10, price comes back and revisits that area. Okay, because look at the RR. If I would have just entered off this, it would have been negative RR. So that is why I set a limit order. You got it. There we go. 5.25 stop loss got tapped in with, like I said, this 927 candle right here. And what did I end up doing? Well, whatever ended up happening first. So if this low ended up getting taken out, or if market opened first, I was moving stops to break even. Whatever happened first, I was doing so. So these lows ended up getting taken out, okay? So I'm now moved my stops to break even up into this candle. And market opened in 1 minute. We ended up coming down, taking out data lows. At the same time, we took out my take profit. And as you guys can see, market open candle. We opened right here, came all the way up back into that 1 minute for value gap, and then rejected back down. And as you guys can see, the rest of the day, we didn't do much. All we ended up doing was literally shitting the bed. I was waiting for a 5 or 15 minute gap to open up with my Discord so I can take a trade with them. And that just did not end up happening. As you guys can see, just nothing going on here. So that was all for Tuesday. Not much happening other than that 1 minute short to the downside. And I don't think many people caught that. But it is what it is. Moving on over to Wednesday. All right, so Wednesday we had a red folder at 2 o'clock and 2:30. So I wasn't really looking to take the trade in the morning. However, I did forward test 2 trades and they both ended up playing out, and we'll go over them in a second. Okay, so we'll go over in the morning first, and then we will go over FOMC in the afternoon. The first trade I'm talking about, well, first of all, my bias, I was bullish on the day for the specific reason that we were inside of this daily for value gap. We were also inside of this 4-hour bullish for value gap, and we were also inside of these 1 hour for value gaps right here as well. So I was, and we also had just low resistance liquidity right here on the higher time frame. We had New York PM highs from the previous day. We had London highs. We also had just liquidity up here, and then fucking all-time highs as well. So that was a brief rundown of the morning. What ended up happening, the first trade I ended up forward testing was this 3-minute inversion, which was super valid. Super valid. So we came up and tapped a 15-minute fair value gap. Here's our fair value gap. Okay, we tapped it perfectly. And then we also created, what was our high time frame narrative? Well, we had a SMT with London highs. So fucking ES, like always, can't just give us a normal SMT. We ended up creating equal highs with Asia, and that kind of threw me off a little bit, but we did sweep out London. Okay, so I wanted to see ES go and re-sweep fucking Asia highs, so there wasn't equal highs there. However, it didn't end up doing it. That's why I faded this play. But yeah, so we had a London SMT 15-minute for value gap, 3-minute inversion, and then what do we have below us? Well, we have all this low resistance liquidity. Yeah, we have these relatively equal lows, and then London lows all the way down here if you wanted to hold it all the way down to London lows. What ended up happening? Well, we ended up shitting the bed, okay? And when we shit the bed, what do? We created this 5-minute for value gap, and then we also had this 5-minute for value gap as well, okay? So what did price end up doing? We ended up coming and tapping into the premium fair value gap. We then inversed this 5-minute bullish fair value gap, okay? And this was another play I went ahead and forward tested. So the RR on this trade was the main reason why I didn't take it straight up. I didn't forward test it. I set a limit order at the inversion, and I just didn't end up getting tapped in. The first trade I did forward test. This one I set a limit order. I didn't get tapped in. Beautiful draw on liquidity, right? We have London lows. We have relatively equal London lows. Everyone and their fucking mother knew where price was going. It was just a matter if we can get a good RR or not, right? And I tend to aim for just a 1-to-1 or higher. Anywhere from a 1-to-1 to 1-to-2 is what I wanted to see. Like I said, I set a limit order right here at the inversion. So where this red line is, as you guys see, price never ended up coming up, and you would have been in this trade for like 2 minutes. So that was really all for the morning, because after that, we ended up just chopping around and generating liquidity for the afternoon. So that being said, let's jump into the PM afternoon with FOMC. All right, so 2 p.m. news came out right here with this candle, right? As you guys can see, this candle is absolutely fucking massive compared to everything else. Pause. We have a 55-point candle in our range, right? So what was our higher time frame narrative? Well, as you guys can see, we ended up coming out and sweeping out these highs right here. But what did we not sweep out? We did not sweep out the market open highs, okay? What did ES come and do? Well, ES with the same candle came and took out both of them, right? So ES was super fucking bullish, and NASDAQ, yeah, it was bullish, but it didn't come out and take out those highs. So we had a SMT with the market open highs, and then from there, what do? Well, we had data lows below as a clear target, and what else did we have? Well, we ended up having this 15-minute unfilled fair value gap right here, and this 15-minute fair value gap right here that was unfilled. Okay, so we have our higher time frame narrative with the SMT. We came out and take out data highs. What are we looking for now? Just an inversion, right? So we ended up getting this 1-minute inversion that I fucking liked, but you guys know how I trade. I take the highest time frame leg with the 1 through 5 minute, right? And I'm kind of upset because this fucking inversion was perfect, and we ended up getting tapped in perfectly. So if I set a limit order right here, right? If we go short, instead of entering all the way down here, if I set a limit order at the inversion, what did I just say 2 seconds ago, right? Price likes to come back and revisit these fucking inversions. So this was a trade I also forward tested, and it played out. I fucking forward tested like 3 trades this day, 3 or 4 trades this day, and they all fucking played out. I don't know. I started to get FOMO. I just shut my laptop off later on after this trade I'll get into in a second. But yeah, the reason I didn't take this trade is because we had a 3-minute for value gap right here that I wanted to see get inversed, and obviously the 1 minute wasn't the highest time frame leg. So I just faded it, did not take it, and it ended up playing out. I was like, fuck, whatever, because that was big bread too. That was 59 points. That would have made me some fucking money on the day. But what did we ended up coming and doing? We ended up coming down and taking out these 4-hour lows right here, along with filling this 1 hour unfilled for value gap. So now we had a 4-hour SMT, 1 hour for value gap. But I was still convicted that price was going to go lower, because what do we have over here? Well, we had these lows, these lows, these lows, and these lows. All this high resistance liquidity along with these lows right here. Okay, that I could have seen all getting taken out because of how volatile the market was being. So I was then looking for continuation shorts lower, and I was using this as my condition. I was like, okay, if this gets inversed, I'm probably not going to enter. And if it doesn't, well then I'll look for shorts, right? So it ended up getting inversed, and I was like, okay, what the fuck? I ended up watching this play out. The 5-minute got inversed. We ended up getting a perfect fucking 1 minute inversion right here, which is fucking so annoying. I would have entered off this 1 minute inversion if we did not inverse that 5 minute, right? Go short, stops at the highs right here, and then we can target all this shit down here along with all these internal lows right here as well. Okay, so I probably just realistically would have went right here. Break even point would have been somewhere in this general area. These candles are fucking massive. As you guys can see, these are on the 1 minute time frame, and they're about anywhere from like 30 to 60 points. This one's 40, right? So there was a lot of risk being put on the table here, but it is what it is. The draw on liquidity was super, super good. But like I said, I didn't take it because we ended up getting this 5-minute inverse back to the upside, and then we just seen price go back down. If we ended up respecting this 5-minute for value gap, I would have took shorts back down to these lows, and then possibly even targeted these lows down here. And then what did price end up doing? Well, here's what the 5-minute looked like. We didn't end up coming down and taking out those lows, but we did end up coming down and taking out this intermediate low right here. So after I seen this low get taken out, I just closed my laptop. I actually didn't even watch us flip back to the upside either. So that was what, Wednesday. Let's jump on over to Thursday now. So coming into Thursday, again, I was leaning bullish. We had red folder news at 8:30. So here is the 8:30 candle. We had data highs right here and then all-time highs right above it. So I was already leaning bullish. NASDAQ was inside of this 1 hour for value gap, and we also did not take out these 1 hour lows right here, but lo and behold, we did on ES, right? So we ended up taking out these lows right here on ES. We have a bullish SMT. So now I was just saying, okay, if I can get a fucking entry, I'm going ahead and I'm entering, right? So what I wanted to see is I wanted to see NASDAQ come down, take out these 15-minute lows inside of this 1 hour for value gap, and then we can reject. And what did we end up doing? Well, we did exactly that. You might be saying, well, Lo, why didn't you fucking enter, you fucking pussy? Well, I was waiting for this 1 minute to get inversed for me to enter, and we ended up getting it in inversion. However, look at where the candle ended up getting it inverted at. We ended up coming into another 1 minute for value gap. Okay, so I was waiting for there. There was also a 2 minute, there was also a 3 minute, there was a double 4 minute and a 5 minute. So at this point in time, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait on the 5 minute. Well, the bitch ass fucking 5 minute, look what it did to me. Came all the way up here and then fucking didn't invert it. Like, what are we doing? So we didn't get an inverse on that. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'll wait for a continuation model up and towards these data highs and all-time highs. Well, what do we get? No fucking continuation model. Typical when I try to enter a trade, right? So it is what it is, right? No continuation model. I ended up taking a short down to what? Well, there was this unfilled 5 minute and this unfilled 5 minute. This I went in for 2 minis on this trade. This one was TP1 break even, and this one was final TP. I ended up entering off of a all-time high SMT. We also had a data high SMT, so that was my higher time frame narrative. And then we got a 2 minute inversion. Okay, so we got this 2 minute inversion right here. This is a perfect gap model. I would love to see it. We have our higher time frame narrative. We have a look. We swept out all-time highs, and we seen an immediate reaction, right? We have a 2 minute for value gap, and we get an instant fucking inversion. Okay, it's not like we chopped around. No, we got an instant inversion. So I was targeting, again, these unfilled gaps. We were already overbought. And we just didn't end up getting that. But then look what ended up happening. We ended up just continuing higher and higher. And then we got this 1 minute inversion right here. Same confluences. I believe ES just wanted to come out and take out data highs first. But we still had the all-time high SMT, which is our higher time frame narrative. Okay, so we have the all-time high SMT now with a 1 minute inversion. I didn't like this trade. I faded it. I didn't even... Oh, I did forward test it, but I wasn't even thinking about taking it. As you guys can see, it ended up coming down and taking out the 5 minutes. So this play would have worked out. Some people in the Discord did take this. The reason I didn't like it was because I was thinking, okay, well, if the 2 minute failed, what makes a 1 minute what is going to make a 1 minute fucking succeed if the 2 minute failed, right? Because obviously higher time frame holds higher power. So if I was going to take something, I would rather just take a continuation long if we do retrace back into this value gap. And that is exactly what I did. We ended up generating liquidity on the way down into this 5 minute gap, okay? And then what did we end up doing? I believe it was a 2 minute inversion back to the upside. Yeah, it was right here. We ended up tapping this 5 minute perfectly, right? We got a 2 minute inversion rejecting it. I went ahead and entered again with 2 minis. Long position, right? Stops or entry point at the inversion, stops at the swing lows inside the 5 minute for value gap, and take profit all the way up into all-time highs. And what ended up happening? Well, I got chopped around a little bit, and then we ended up smacking take profit. And I posted this on my TikTok. I was taking a shit as I was in this trade. So that was my 2 trades on Thursday, and I believe that was it for the rest of the day. I believe we just ended up chopping around. Yeah, we didn't fucking do much the rest of the day. So that was all for Thursday. Let's get into Friday. I did not trade Friday because I was on an airplane. However, I will go over the market analysis for you guys. So there was no news Friday, and along with my daily bias, just same shit, right? We're fucking out all-time highs. No signs of bearish structure whatsoever. So I'm just going to stay bullish, right? Like I said, I was on an airplane, and typically I will trade on the plane because I do buy the Wi-Fi. However, my plane landed literally right at market open. So, you know, like as soon as you hit the tarmac, fucking the Wi-Fi's ass, their phone doesn't fucking work. Like you're on LTE 5G, but nothing's loading. So my laptop wouldn't fucking turn on. Plus I have all these fucking people behind me trying to get off the plane and shit. I'm just over here trying to trade. Anyways, we ended up coming down, and I'm kind of fucking upset I was on a flight at that specific time, because we ended up coming down, respecting this 15-minute fair value gap, right? We're already bullish as is. We created SMT with these 15-minute intermediate lows. As you guys can see, ES came, swept them out. NASDAQ did not sweep them out. We also got a 5-minute fucking inversion to the upside, and I would have entered off this inversion, stops at the swing lows, take profit all the way to all-time highs, and I just did not do it. This is a classic just PDI model right at market open. As you guys see, we would have got chopped around a little bit in our stop loss. Our entry point would have been right here, I believe. We got chopped around a little bit in our stop loss. We revisited the fair value gap one more time, and then we ended up ripping all the way up here. And then from here, after we got to all-time highs, we didn't really do much. We just generated a whole bunch of liquidity and essentially just did that the rest of the day, right? This PA is not the most beautiful. So I was actually in my Uber on the way to where I was staying. I went to Philadelphia around like this time right here, around 10 o'clock. I just opened my laptop, seen price action, and I was just like, dude, fuck this. I'm not even going to look at it. I'm just going to enjoy my 3-day weekend, I guess you can say. So this was really the only valid setup that presented itself, but this was another A+ setup. All in all, this week's price action was pretty good. I just had some hesitation errors, I guess you can say. But other than that, it is what it is. Like I worked on it, I journaled it, I watch some recaps. I rewatch my own recaps, see what I can do better, right? There's always something you can do better. But yeah, like I said, I had a hesitation problem this week for some reason, especially earlier on in the week. And then obviously Friday I didn't trade at all. But all in all, I had a pretty good week. Let me see if I can pull up my P&L. Give me 1 second. So my computer's tweaking out, and you guys are probably going to be like, oh, fucking bullshit. I ended up making $1,600 across 10 accounts this week, 5 on Tradify, 5 on Top Step. I will post that to my TikTok so you guys don't think I'm capping. And I will show you guys a screenshot on there. Okay, so with that being said, that will be all for last week's weekly recap. Okay, I will see you guys tomorrow for a live trading.